segment of my conversation with Camille Schrier, Miss America 2020. Camille and I talk about National Prescription Drug Takeback Day. This is an annual and national event sponsored by the Drug Enforcement Administration. Here in Chautauqua County, Prevention Works and Hope Chautauqua raise awareness about this important event in which we're all encouraged to rid our cabinets and cupboards of unused prescriptions so that they don't become misused drugs. In addition to this annual event, there are permanent prescription drug drop boxes throughout the county. We'll leave a list of those sites in the notes accompanying this video. One of the things that you've been involved in, as we have here in Chautauqua County, has been the National Prescription Drug Takeback Day. What is it about sort of managing those meds that, are sitting around unused in a cabinet? Why is it important for people to, take inventory of that and get rid of the things that they don't need out of their house?
That was something that I learned a lot about this year. I got to partner with the DEA to do all of the public service announcements for Drug Takeback Day this year, which was so amazing. And what I started to realize was that properly disposing of medications, which is exactly what National Drug Takeback Day is probably one of the most proactive ways that we can prevent overdoses by getting those substances that we're no longer using, that are just sitting there, out of our homes and into safe disposal. It's also one of the most proactive ways that we can prevent poisonings in children by getting those medications and substances out of our homes. It's just a really simple, easy way when we think about harm reduction, it's a very simple, easy harm reduction based action that we get to take. And it's an easy way for us to just keep those medications out of the wrong hands or out of curious hands. If you have teenagers in the home who might be apt to want to explore those types of substances. And, I think that one of the things that I think about if someone's prescribed something like an opioid, and there's many situations where that's appropriate, but if you do have an opioid in your home, if you have been prescribed that, there's this concept that I like to call safe prescription ownership. If you have that medication, you have to know how to safely own that by locking it up, putting it up and away from your children, putting it in a safe place that if you have guests in your home or if you have someone coming into your home that you don't know, that they can't get access to that. I think of it often like having alcohol in the home. If you maybe have minors in the home, you're going to want to make sure that you're keeping that alcohol away from them so they can't use that. And everyone kind of has different schools of thought in that. But I think that it's exceptionally important when you have something like an opioid or a controlled substance in your home that you know to protect the other people around you, that's part of your responsibility in having that prescription.
I think that's a really great approach and perspective on it. One which I've really never heard, that having been prescribed a medication, we are responsible then. Responsible, obviously, to take it well, learn about it, ask our pharmacist or doctor, but also to manage it and control who has access to it in a responsible sort of way. Because we do know that many, in fact, I think statistics would say most people that do progress to a full opioid use disorder that began with a prescription, probably not their own, possibly their own, but in many cases not their own, but they began with a prescribed opioid. They had access to it, and if they hadn't, the story could have gone very differently.
Yes, there are definitely statistics that show that most people who use heroin have begun with a prescribed opioid. And I think it's important that you mentioned that it's oftentimes not their own prescription. And that is part of the reason why something like Drug Takeback Day is important. Because there is a percentage that start with their own opioid prescription. And those stories are really tragic when you think about a person who's prescribed a opioid medicine for pain management after surgery or certain things that it would make sense, and then end up progressing into using other opioids like heroin. But there's so many situations where people are using others' opioids. And that's just heartbreaking and preventable. I think a lot of that, the reason why I do a lot of this is because I feel like it can be so preventable.
Yes.
And when we think about you know, there's right now about 220 people every day in our country, and that's newer data in 2020 based on the pandemic. 220 people almost every single day that are losing their life to an opioid overdose alone. And I see every one of those 220 deaths as something that is completely preventable, either with preventing that substance use from beginning or by using something like Narcan to be able to reverse that overdose, which I think is, when we think about these simple things that we can do, I think that those are 220 lives we can save every day.